Okay, so let's continue from where we ended in the last video. We are not going to do anything if this onCancelled method is called, so just simply remove this to do. And in the onData change, if the incoming changes, then we have to prompt the user that someone is trying to call and if they want to accept it or not. And if they accept, then we will send our unique ID. And I will do that in a new function that will be onCallRequest. And I can get the incoming value from this snapshot. And let's create this in the call activity. And I'm going to change the name from value to caller. And this is a string, so let's do that. And here also we'll have to cast it to a string. Now if this caller is null, then we will return. If the caller is not null, then we have to send our unique ID to that caller if the user accepts the call, basically. So for that, I will just first get the call layout and set the visibility to visible. And in the incoming call text view, I'm going to set the text to caller is calling. And then I will set the accept button on click listener. And now to be able to send the connection ID, I will have to write the connection ID into the username object in the Firebase real-time database. And to do that, I'm going to get the child, and the child will be the username. And then I will change the connection ID of this child by calling the set value on it. And the value that I want to set is going to be the value returned by this getUniqueID function. So I will have to store the value returned in an object so that I can use it here as well. Create a variable named uniqueID and initialize it with an empty string. Inside the initializePeer function, this unique ID will be equals to getUniqueID. And now instead of calling this getUniqueID again, we will use the uniqueID variable. And now we can pass the unique ID in the setValue function. After this, I will also change the isAvailableChild, and then I will switch to the controls layout. The controls layout contains a mute audio and mute video button. I'm going to do this here before the connection is established, before the video call is established, is because once we start getting the frames and then we try to show anything onto the screen, any view, then that is just kept behind the video stream. So I will have to show this thing before I have the video stream of the person that is trying to call me. Create this function, Alt Enter. And inside this, I'm going to hide the input layout. The input layout contains the edit text and the call button. We will not be needing that layout once the video call is established. So I will set the visibility to gone. And then I will show the call control layout. The visibility will be set to visible. And when the reject button is clicked, then I am going to remove the incoming value for my username on the database. So the child is username, and then I want to change the incoming of this child to null. Now the app is ready to accept any video calls that will come and show it into the video streams. I'll explain this again so that you are not confused or anything like that. When someone tries to call, then this incoming value changes. And then through the snapshot.value property, we are getting the name of the person who is trying to call us. And then we are showing the name of that person in this incoming call. After that, we are asking the user to accept or reject the call. If the user accepts the call, then we are changing the value of the connection ID to our unique ID. And then we are changing the value of the isAvailable to true. And once we set this is available to true, then the other person will be informed about the connection ID, and through this connection ID, he can call the JavaScript function start call by passing the unique ID, and then PeerJS will call this person with this user ID. And once it does that, then this peer.onCall function event will be called, and then the user can get the stream this way. It can still sound a little confusing, but it will become clearer if you finish the next part, which is we should be able to make calls. So to able to make a call, we will go to the onCreate and we will implement this call button on click listener. But before I write the on click of this call button, I just wanna get away with the toggle audio and toggle video first. So when this button is clicked, then I will simply change the value of is audio to not is audio. This will toggle the boolean, and then I will call the JavaScript function, and the name of the function is toggle audio. So JavaScript toggle audio, and then I have to pass the boolean as a string here. So let's escape out the quote and put the is audio in this. Escape another quote. And then we will also have to change the image on this toggle audio button so that the user knows what is the current state of the mic. And to do that, just do call audio button, and if is audio is true, then the image is going to be the simple mic, otherwise it will be mic off. And we have to do the same thing to the toggle video button as well. So let's just copy this and paste it in this on click listener. Change this to is video, and here it will be toggle video instead, and the boolean will be is video. And here we are going to change the image on the video button, and we'll check for is video to be true, and if it is, then we will show the video cam, otherwise we will show the video cam off. And now I will do the call button. So when this button is clicked, then I will get the friend name from the username edit, from the friend name edit text, which is available in the call activity XML, and I will convert it to string. And after this we can send a call request to this friend. Press Alt Enter and create this function. Here the first thing that I want to check if is peer connected. If the peer is connected, then only we are going to initiate with the call. And I will also fix this typo error. If it is not connected, if the peer is not connected, then we will simply show a toast, and that will say you are not connected, check your internet. Toast length will be long, and then I will show this thing. After that we can send the call request if this peer is true, if peer connected is true. And to call this friend, I just have to change the incoming of this in the Firebase database to my username, and that way the other user will be informed that someone is trying to call. So we just have to change the incoming there, and the incoming is observed here. So just do Firebase ref dot child friend's username and child incoming, and the value of this will be my username. After I have sent the call request with this line of code, now I will observe if the person has accepted the call, and for that I just have to observe the is value is available property on this friend username object. So I will add a value event listener here, object colon value event listener, and I will implement the members of this function. Nothing should be done in the on cancelled, and in the on data change I will check if snapshot dot value to string equals true. If it is true, it means that the person has accepted our call, and now we just have to get their connection ID and use that connection ID to call them. And I will listen for the connection ID in a separate function. So let's create a listen for con ID in the call activity, and here just observe the friend's connection ID. So friend's username dot child con ID, and this should be same as what we have passed here. So the key should be same. Now going back there, add a value event listener to this con ID, value event listener, implement the members, just ignore this on cancelled, and in the on data change I will check if snapshot value is null. If it is, then I will return. Otherwise I will start the call, but before I start the call I will switch to the controls layout, because once we are getting the stream, then we cannot change the visibility of any view to visible. We can hide views, but making their visibility visible sometimes doesn't work. And now to call this connection ID, we just have to call the JavaScript function, which is JavaScript :start call, and here we have to pass the username of the person we want to call, and that is simply going to be snapshot value. Remember to place these quotes carefully. It should be placed inside the parentheses, so make sure you do that correctly. And I guess everything is done. I just want to do one more thing. When the on back pressed is called, then I want to finish this activity so that the activity gets destroyed. And once the activity gets destroyed, then I will remove my username from the Firebase database. So Firebase ref.child username.set value to null. And I also want to unload the web view. So I will just do web view.load URL, and to unload it, we just have to pass about : blank. I want to do a few more things before we can test this. Actually, I want to fix a few things. Here, if caller is null, then we want to return. And I also want to make this call activity full screen. So I will go to the styles.xml, and then I will create a new style, and I will name this style apptheme.fullscreen. I will add the item window action bar, and I will set this to false. And then I will have another item that will be window no title. This will be set to true. And just another item that will be full screen. Set this to true as well. Now go to the Android manifest, and in the call activity, add the theme and set this to apptheme.fullscreen. And now just one last thing that I want to change is the call.js. Here you can see that I have not provided the path of the local server. So first let's just start the local server. Open the terminal or the command prompt and install peer with npm. The command is going to be sudo npm I peer -g for global installation. You will not need the sudo if you are on Windows. I have already installed it, so I'm not going to do it again. And then to start the PeerJS server, we just have to use the command PeerJS --port. I'm going to run this on port number 9000. Key will be PeerJS, and then the path of our server. Here it is my app, or let's make it video call app. Press enter and it is running. Now go back to Android Studio, and inside this peer class, the second parameter is going to be an object, and the first property here will be the IP address of the server. And to get the IP address, you will again open the command prompt or the terminal, and if you are on Windows, then you are going to run the command ipconfig, and then that will give you your IPv4 address. But if you are on Mac, then you're gonna need ifconfig pipe grep inet. and this is my IP address. So I'll copy that and provide that as the host. And then we have to pass the port number on which we want to run this. The port number our server is running is 9000. And then we will pass the path. The path is video call app /video call app. The server is set up, and now we just have to make a call to the onPeerConnected function that we have in the Kotlin file. And to do that, what we need is we need to use this name, the name of our JavaScript interface. Here it is Android, and we will call the onPeerConnected function. And this function is available in the JavaScript interface. Okay, now we can go ahead and run this application. Finally. Before you run the app on the mobile devices, you also need to make sure that the mobile devices and the computer on which the server is running, all of them are connected to the same Wi-Fi or hotspot connection. Let me now log in into the app with the username Mihir. And you can see on the server, the client connected gets printed and the ID of the client is also printed. Now I will log in again with a different device, and this time I'm going to log in with the username John. And for John as well, the client ID gets printed on the server. Now let Mihir call John. And you can see on the other side, we get the text Mihir is calling. I'm going to accept this call. And the call is connected. So we don't see this Repo. And now that thing is off. So we will test if muting the video works or not. So I'm going to mute it this side. And we have the camera stream off. I can mute my own video as well. And we have that off. Okay, so now this thing works and we can end this course right here. If you learned something, if you enjoyed this course, then consider giving a subscription to my channel. Thank you so much.